The reason I'm making this video is, what if we could streamline the process, better contact on your arms, less stress on your body, and ultimately faster. Got all the gear, Ryan?
No idea.
Look at this van. There he is. It's got the attachment on it as well. See there, mate? That's what I wanted actually. I like that. Making me wear new gear. They didn't like the way the other stuff looked, like a tramp. So Ox have been here to want to test out some new products and he wanted to do a bit of filming. So I thought this would be a crucial time to test the Speedskims and see how far we can use it. Can we use it throughout the whole process of plastering? Can we make the process easier on the body, faster and more streamlined, which means we're going to get better finish with easier results. Let's find out in today's video. We're here at Plastering For Beginners and today we're going to be trying to use a Speedskim system all the way through. So I've just applied the plaster, video's not about that. But what we're going to do is try and flatten, finish and smooth using the Speedskim products. So I've got the Speedskim ST. This is what you'd be using to flatten the plaster. This is what you want to be using once the plaster's been applied. This is what you want to be using to get it flat. You don't want to be using any other Speedskims at this point because they're too flexible. If you use a steel one or even a finishing one at this point, you're going to leave ripples in the plaster and you'll essentially make a wall uneven, and when the light comes through you'll see bumps. So only at this point use the ST. That's the only Speedskim you want to be using. Okay, so we want to flatten it. What we want to be doing is working down to up at first. And all the way up. And then once we've gone vertically, we want to go horizontally. Work from your edges, working in. That's basically all I want to be working on in flattening the first coat of plaster. That's the first coat flattened and you've got rid of any ripples and any high spots, which allow you then to put the second coat on. Now, you can be flattening with a Speedskim. This is a question we get all the time. As soon as you've applied a plaster onto the wall, you can flatten it straight away. It's not going to affect your finish, you're not going to get any bubbles, you're not going to get any side effects from using this straight away at the process. The sooner the better in my opinion. Once your plaster's on the wall, it's still got play in it, it's better to be flattening straight away. I'm going to apply the second coat directly to that. So the second coat's applied. Now like I said, use this straight away if you feel like there's no pressure on what point you can be using the Speedskim ST. Because it's a plastic blade, it's not going to draw the moisture to the front, you're not going to get any side effects. So again, horizontally, one way, the other way. I'm going to come all the way up from the bottom. So, and if you like, if you can reach your top, that's it. Again, flattened. Great thing about the spatulas is the fact that it's a time saving, but it's also the pressure on your joints. If you are plasterer day in, day out, and you're only using a trowel, your elbows, your shoulders are going to get battered. The reason I'm making this video is, what if we could streamline the process and just use something that's got better contact on your arms, less stress on your body, and ultimately faster. That's what today's video is about. If we can just hone in the process and avoid making that pressure on the elbow, then is it worth doing? Let's find out today. So this is a new Speedskim, and this is brand new. Now I'm just going to show you some of the things that can happen if you have a new Speedskim on board. So I'm going to come up vertically, right? Coming up. We've got these here, it's leaving tram lines either side. Let me show you. So we've got this tram line running up, and we've got this either side. Basically where the edges the speed skim is just catching the wall and it's leaving an indentation. I'm going to show you a little hack on how to get over that right now. So we've got the UST. These are some snips. So what I'm going to do is you want to create a bit more of a curve on it. Don't be scared to cut it. I know it's scary, but just going to give it a bit more of a rounding. I'll do that a bit more. We've got, it's not steep of the round, we've got a bit more of a radius to it. Now what I'm going to do is get some sandpaper, sand that down, and then what you're left with is that won't be as obtrusive on the plaster. Now, like with any trowel, anything that you use, it does have a breaking in period. So you will have to use it a good few times before the plastic starts to wear and then it starts to break in and then it stops leaving lines behind. But it just takes time. That'll massively cut the curve in half and that'll literally give you a lot more time, and then hopefully that'll stop the lines from dragging. Now I know we're talking about Speedskims, but these bad boys in, Oxdew cookies, Christ almighty, yeah, really good. Make a brew in a minute and get some, look at that, thick as well. Proper dunker biscuit right there. Let's go and get something else. Got one of these as well. What is it, Ryan?
Ox energy drink, that is, sir.
God, I don't do energy drinks, but scared, look at that. Lose the power, I'll be twitching my back out. So it's at this stage now where I'd want to be using a trowel. There's a bit of ripples in the line, so the speed skim is still a bit harsh, even though this is well broken in. It's still a bit harsh, but I'm going to push it. Let's see how far we can take it. So, again, now what the problem is, there's going to be a few little marks, there's going to be a few little misses, there's going to be a few little holes. Let me show you. A few sections like that, that'll need flattening in. A few little lines left behind, especially at the tops and the sides. Look, there's one. So this is when you'd want to be using your trowel. So now, let's see if we can flatten without using a trowel. So what I'm going to do is try and scoop up a bit of fat on the speed skim. Now again, when you're holding the speed skim, you don't want your fingers to be touching the blade. So if I touch the blade, I'm going to bend it. So you want your fingers to be on the inside guard, as so. Your little finger on the outside, your thumb underneath. You don't want to be touching that blade, you don't want any contact on it. That's just going to force ripples into the plaster, you're going to bend it. We need to keep this stiff, we need to keep it straight. I'm going to try and collect a bit of fat and fill in. So I'm using a bit more pressure now. I'm taking my time working to the tops. Working at the sides. So, we have got a fairly flat wall there. Let's have a look. So, in terms of flatness, it's actually pretty good. The sections at the top been well filled. There's one section there that could be adjusted, but again the plaster is still quite wet, so we have got time. Generally, we're pretty good, but there's still a bit of a texture on that plaster. Right, so I've curved the edges. I'm just going to see if it actually works, just for myself really, so let's give it a go. Now, got a bit of a line, nowhere near as bad as what it was. Tiny bit of a trail there, can you even see it on the camera? That little line. But compare that to the one before, you might be able to see it a bit more in this light. But it's just faint, you can see. So with a bit of time and maybe even a bit more sandpaper, that'll get better. But it's not leaving the tran tracks like it was doing before. Now that's the difference. Curving the edges makes, give it a bit of sandpaper. It just makes it a bit easier to glide, and it doesn't leave the lines either side. Right, so I'm going to use this one last time. Now, we need to start getting over the roughness of it, so I'm going to have to move on to another speed skim. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So, I've filled the edges, but I want to start getting it flatter. So, coming up at the top, working at the top edge. And I'm going to come in from the side. It's getting flatter and flatter, and it's getting smoother and smoother. But that is the last time I'm going to use the Speedskim ST. Now we're going to move on to steel version. So we're going to leave that to dry for a minute, and then we're going to move on to the next stage. Start getting into the finer polishing sides, and just see what results we get. But so far, so good. Picked up most of the holes, filled in the gaps. Let's see how the further stages go. Right, so we're at the later stages of plastering. I'm going to move on to this. This is Speedskim PF. Again, it's a plastic blade, but it's a lot smoother. And because we are coming to the later stages, it has a bit more movement in the blade. Not as much as a stainless steel one, which we're going to go into in a minute. But it's a bit more of it's a middle ground between the flattening and the polishing. So we're going to go on to this. It's a different size. So we've got the 600 version. The Speedskims come in 1200, 600, 300, 450, 300, and they also do 1.8 metre, but I think that's just ridiculous. I couldn't imagine even having that in the van. So I'm just going to give it a quick flat on this now and see what happens. Now that has left a much smoother finish on the wall. Let's have a look. So have a look, it's leaving a lot smoother finish now. There's a bit more lines on the wall, but that's left from the ST. And this is brand new, so it does need a breaking in period, but I'm surprised actually how nice it is to use. And then we are getting rid of the holes and the gaps left in the plaster. I mean, it's got legs, we're getting somewhere. It needs a bit more work, but it's good. Let's keep going. We are coming into the later stage now. Again, I'm going to use this. I'm going to finish with a steel. At this point, it's leaving it quite smooth. Again, probably needs a bit of a sand down. This is brand new, but going to give the blade a bit of a clean. Ideally, we'd have a bit more time in this to break in, but in general, the results are looking fairly good. Again, we've literally just used a trowel to apply the plaster, that is it. We've not cleaned up the edges, we've not cleaned up the tops, everything has been done with a Speedskim. Now let's look at the results. Bit of a drag mark, probably where the blade is still quite fresh, but generally, it's looking pretty good. Got rid of the marks at the tops. Internals are looking pretty decent. Obviously we'd have to have a trowel to probably clean the outside edge. But considering we only use Speedskims, it's looking pretty good. So, later stages of plastering. This is the very last Speedskim I'll be using. This is the Speedskim SF. It's the stainless steel blade. Very thin, probably the most flexible in the range, but this is what I'll be using to get the finish. Now, it has been pre-worn. I've taken this rendering, it's worn in nicely. But like any trowel, like anything, the Speedskims want a little bit of time so the blade can fade out and start getting the most from it. So I recommend if it is new, give it a sand. Give it a nice sand now with some high-grade sandpaper. Just take the edge off and get it ready for finishing. Well, let's just see, I've got a bit of water on the edges. Starting at the top. A lot of pressure at this point. Look across. The principles want to stay the same. You want to keep the blade clear of plaster and you want to keep it clean, because when you are troweling across, you're not going to interrupt the plaster that's on there. The great thing with this is you can put all the pressure with your hands pushed behind it, rather than all the pressure being on one hand, one elbow, one wrist. We can distribute the weight evenly, which is why these Speedskims can help in the long run with anyone who's struggling with tennis elbow or any injuries where it's just repetitive strain. This will take the strain and give you a bit more ease. She's looking pretty good. Been waiting all day for this. Let's test. The Speedskim was alright, but let's test the cookies with a dump factor. Holding their own. Oh, good. So, we've just finished the wall. Let's have a look. No trowels, fairly new blades, and generally, a nice flat wall. Now, could you use this all the way through plastering? It's probably possible, but a nice even mix is probably what we're going to be looking for. Ideally, we want to be mixing the trowels in between to clean the edges, maybe flatten any lines that are left. But the idea in this video was to maybe consider, do we need to put all that pressure on our joints, and should we be mixing up different tools throughout to 1, save time, but 2, save the pressure on our bodies. The main thing here is, if you want to be plastering in the long run, if you want to be plastering for a long time, you don't want to get to 60, feel battered, broken elbows, broken shoulders. This video was basically aimed to see if we could spread the load a little bit. So me, I'll probably still use a healthy mix of trowels, but this video has maybe helped me consider, can we be using these tools further down the line? Now this is something we should consider, and let's see if it could happen. So if you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see what happens when we just use flexi trowels and we just use a standard trowel throughout plastering, nothing else, we compared the standard to the flexi, click this video here and subscribe there. Thanks a lot.